I cheated because I thought he did first. I wasn't even snooping. I know how that sounds, but I swear I was just looking for the playlist we were listening to earlier. We were lying on his couch, he got up to take a shower, and his phone buzzed. I tapped it out of instinct, thinking it might be a notification for the Spotify queue. Instead, I saw a name I didn't recognize, Bree Sparkles. The preview read, "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about your hands on me smirking face." My stomach dropped. I stared at it for a good 10 seconds, like my brain refused to process what I was seeing. My heartbeat did that weird stuttery thing where it skips and then slams back twice as hard. I opened the full message thread like I was possessed. It was short. Flirty. No photos, thank God, but enough to read between the lines. One said, "You left your hoodie here. Smells like you. Kinda don't want to give it back." Another, "I had a dream about you. Want a rerun?" I felt like I'd been slapped. I locked his phone and tossed it back on the table, just as I heard the shower turn off. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I just sat there, pretending to scroll through Instagram like I hadn't just felt the floor drop out from under me. When he came back out, towel around his waist, hair wet, smiling at me like everything was normal, I wanted to scream. I didn't, though. I kissed him. Said I was tired. Went home. I spent that whole night staring at my ceiling, feeling stupid, and betrayed, and hollow in a way I didn't have words for. We'd been together a year and a half. He met my parents. He had a key to my apartment. He held me when my dog died. And now, this? I didn't confront him. Not then. I did something worse. The next day I couldn't stop replaying the messages in my head. It was like they were burned onto the backs of my eyelids. Every time I blinked, there was Bree Sparkles giggling in text form, wearing his hoodie, dreaming about him. I didn't text him that morning. He didn't text me either, which just made it worse. I kept waiting, hoping, even, for some kind of breadcrumb. Something to prove I was wrong, or that he was just being stupid. A good morning text. A slip up. Something. But nothing came. At work, I was useless. I kept opening our old conversations, scrolling through all the I love US and inside jokes like an idiot. It felt surreal, like the guy I'd been dating had shapeshifted overnight into someone else. Some lying stranger. Or maybe he always had been and I just hadn't wanted to see it. By the time I got home, I was in full spiral mode. My roommate Lexi saw it all over my face the second I walked through the door. "What happened?" she asked. I told her. I told her everything. Lexi's always been the shoot first, process later type. She poured me a glass of red wine like we were prepping for war. "Screw him," she said. "You want to go out tonight?" I hesitated. My gut screamed no. But the rest of me, the messy, angry part, nodded. So we went out. It wasn't even a big party. Just a bar crawl a few neighborhoods over with some of Lexi's friends. Loud music. Sticky floors. The kind of night where you can get lost in strangers and cheap vodka. That's where I met Mark. He was tall, charming in a lazy way, and too good-looking to be real. He laughed at everything I said. Bought me a shot. Kept brushing his hand against mine like it was nothing. And for the first time since reading those texts, I didn't feel like crying. I felt wanted. When he leaned in close and asked, "So what's your deal? Boyfriend or no?" I didn't even blink before saying, "Single." The lie didn't feel like a lie anymore. It felt like justice. I wish I could say it was a blur. That I don't remember how it happened, or that I was too drunk to think straight. But the truth is, I remember everything. I remember the way Mark's hand grazed the small of my back as we pushed through the crowd. The way he leaned down to talk in my ear, voice low, breath warm. I remember laughing too loud, letting myself forget that I was someone else's girlfriend. And I remember the exact moment I crossed the line. We were outside, standing in the alley behind the bar where people go to smoke. It was quieter, darker, and my head was buzzing, not just from the alcohol but from the high of being seen. Mark lit a cigarette, offered me one, and I said no. He smiled like that answer amused him, then looked me up and down like he already knew how the night would end. "You've got that look," he said. "What look?" "Like someone who's trying to pretend she's not mad at somebody." I laughed. Maybe a little too hard. And then he kissed me. I let him. I didn't pull away. I didn't think about my boyfriend. I thought about Bree Sparkles and her perfect night. I thought about how he made me feel disposable, replaceable, invisible. So I let Mark take me home. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't even satisfying. It was messy and fast, and I barely looked at him the whole time. I kept my eyes on the ceiling like I was waiting for it to crack open and swallow me whole. Afterward, I stared at his bedroom wall while he dozed off beside me, completely unaware of the storm inside my chest. That's when the guilt started. It didn't come in all at once. It crept in, slow and quiet, like fog. My throat got tight. My stomach clenched. I slipped out of bed while he was still asleep, pulled on my jeans, and walked out without saying a word. The cold air slapped me awake as soon as I stepped outside. I couldn't call a rideshare fast enough. On the way home, I stared out the window and whispered to myself, "What the hell did I just do?" And still, part of me whispered back, "He deserved it." The next morning, everything looked the same. My room was still a mess. My toothbrush still leaned against his in the ceramic holder he bought from some flea market. My phone still lit up with notifications that didn't include his name. But I was different. I felt like I was wearing a version of myself that didn't quite fit anymore. Like I'd slipped into someone else's skin for a night and now couldn't figure out how to take it off. I stood under the shower for 20 minutes, scalding water beating down on me like I could rinse off what I did. I stared at the wall and thought about Mark's bed. The way I hadn't even looked him in the eye. The way I'd left without a word. Then I thought about him. Tyler. God, even his name made my stomach twist. We hadn't spoken since the night I found the messages. A full day and a half of silence. That might sound normal to some people, but for us? We used to talk non-stop. Even dumb stuff, he'd send me memes, little updates, "This song reminded me of you" texts. Now, nothing. It made me sick. The silence and the guilt. And the rage that still smoldered under it. Around 4 p.m., he finally texted. "Tyler, hey, you free to hang tonight? I miss you." That was it. No apology. No confession. Just a casual, affectionate message like the world hadn't cracked in half. And for a moment, I felt this strange, twisting hope. Maybe he was trying. Maybe he felt it too, the distance, the tension. Maybe this was his way of reaching for me. Or maybe he just wanted to pretend like nothing happened. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed. "Me, yeah. Come over." When he showed up that night, he brought Thai food and wrapped me in a hug like nothing had changed. And I hugged him back. I kissed him. Laughed at his dumb jokes. Let him fall asleep next to me while we watched a show we'd seen 100 times. I acted normal. But the whole time, my chest felt like it was being crushed in a vice. Every touch felt like a lie. Every smile felt like a mask I couldn't take off without screaming. I stared at the ceiling until morning, wondering if this was what the rest of our relationship was going to feel like. Fake. It was 3 days later when everything came undone. Tyler and I were sitting in his apartment, half watching some documentary I wasn't paying attention to. I couldn't stop looking at him, how relaxed he was, how effortlessly he leaned into me like the world hadn't shifted. It made me feel like I was going to crack open. I thought about telling him, right then and there. But before I could even figure out how to start, his phone buzzed. And like muscle memory, my eyes flicked to the screen. It was a message in a group chat. "Bree Sparkles, You tell your girl to bring that pasta again. It slapped face with tears of joy. I froze. Wait. Wait. It was the same name. Same emoji. But this wasn't some private flirty chat, it was a group text. With like 6 other names. One of them being Zach, Tyler's best friend. Another being Lena, who I recognized as Zach's girlfriend. I played it cool. I sipped my drink. I forced a laugh at something on the screen while my heart dropped into my stomach. When Tyler got up to grab something from the kitchen, I made the fastest decision of my life and opened the chat. It wasn't private. It never was. The last night was perfect message? A joke about a dinner party they all had the week before. The can't stop thinking about your hands bit? Someone mocking how Zach massaged his own shoulder after trying yoga. The hoodie line? A literal hoodie left on Lena's couch. It was all inside jokes. Meme-level banter. Stupid, harmless texts that I had read completely out of context. I sat there, staring at the thread, feeling my ears ring. Tyler came back, flopped next to me, kissed my temple, and said, "You okay? You're super quiet tonight." I blinked at him, trying to hold on to whatever scraps of composure I had left. I smiled. "Yeah. Just tired." He nodded and pulled me closer. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to rewind time and slap the drink out of my hand before I ever met Mark. Because this whole time, I was wrong. So wrong. He never cheated. But I did. I couldn't look at him the same after that. Not because he changed, because I did. Every time Tyler smiled at me, every time he laughed at something dumb I said, I felt like glass. Like any second I'd shatter and cut both of us with the truth. I kept waiting for him to figure it out. To notice how stiff my hugs were, how my kisses felt forced, how I flinched when he touched the exact spot Mark had touched me just days before. But he didn't notice. Or maybe he did and chose not to say anything. He was trying harder lately. Texting more. Planning dates. One night he even said, out of nowhere, "I know I've been distant. I'm working on it." And I just nodded like that fixed anything. That night, I cried in the shower. One of those silent, full-body cries that leaves your skin hot and your soul hollow. I think that's when it really hit me, I didn't just cheat on Tyler. I betrayed a version of myself I thought I could trust. Lexi noticed it too. We were sitting in our kitchen when she finally asked, "You gonna tell him?" I didn't answer right away. I just stared into my coffee like it held some magic solution at the bottom. What if it ruins everything? I said. She didn't sugarcoat it. It already did. I hated her for being right. But more than that, I hated myself for making her have to say it. Every moment with Tyler after that felt borrowed. Like I was on a ticking clock and the countdown was inside my chest. I could barely meet his eyes anymore. The guilt wasn't sharp now, it was dull and constant, like background noise I couldn't turn off. And the worst part? He was being so good to me. Like the universe was punishing me by making him perfect right when I least deserved it. I didn't plan it. I wish I could say I sat down, wrote out the words, practiced them in the mirror, figured out the cleanest, kindest way to wreck someone. But that's not how it happened. It happened on a Tuesday. Random, ordinary, forgettable. We were sitting on my couch. Tyler had just made dinner, pasta, his favorite, and was telling me some story from work. I wasn't even listening. I was nodding and smiling like a puppet. And then he said, "I really think we're back on track, you know?" That broke something in me. It was like this invisible rope I'd been holding onto just barely finally snapped. My hands were empty. My mouth opened before my brain could catch up. "I have to tell you something," I said. He stopped mid-sentence. "Okay?" My throat felt like sandpaper. I made a mistake. Last weekend. I saw something on your phone and thought you were cheating on me. I didn't ask. I didn't talk to you. I hooked up with someone. I wish I could describe the look on his face in a way that does it justice. Shock, confusion, pain, all of it slammed into him like a truck. His eyebrows knit together like he didn't understand the words I was saying. He blinked a few times. Wait. What? I was drunk. Angry. I thought you were sleeping with someone named Bree, but it was a group chat. I didn't know. I messed up. I messed up so bad. He just stared at me. Like he was waiting for a punchline that never came. You thought I was cheating, he said finally, voice flat. So you just did it first? I didn't mean to. But you did, he cut in. You made that choice. I couldn't say anything. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. I had no good excuse. No redemption arc. Just the truth, and the wreckage. He stood up slowly, like he was moving underwater. I need to go, he said, already grabbing his keys. I can't even look at you right now. He left without slamming the door. Somehow, that made it worse. It's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since Tyler walked out of my apartment and didn't come back. 3 weeks since I watched him close the door without a word, taking every last bit of trust and love with him like it was nothing. I've texted him a few times. Nothing dramatic. Just, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Once, he responded, I know. Doesn't change anything. That one hurt more than silence. I don't even know what I expected. Forgiveness? Closure? A second chance? Maybe just for him to yell at me, to hate me out loud so it wouldn't feel so quiet. But all I got was this empty stretch of days filled with guilt, and that awful realization that sometimes the worst punishment is knowing you deserve it. Mark texted once too. Just a casual, had fun the other night. Wanna hang out again? I blocked his number without replying. This was never about him. It wasn't about wanting someone else. It was about wanting to feel like I mattered when I thought I didn't. It was about a moment of weakness, driven by fear and anger, that cost me someone who actually did love me. Tyler was far from perfect. He did get distant. He got wrapped up in work and forgot to show up sometimes. But he didn't cheat. He never lied. He never stopped trying. I did. I still see him sometimes on social media, tagged in mutual friends' stories. He looks fine. Happier, even. I don't know if that's real or just the filtered version of his healing. Either way, I don't reach out anymore. I don't get to. I keep thinking about how I could have just asked. One conversation. That's all it would have taken. But I let a few words on a screen convince me to set fire to everything. And now I'm just standing in the ashes, holding a match I can't unstrike.